and welcome to the Next Canon podcast. My name is Danny Ray, but you know that. Today I'm very, very excited. Our guest today is one of my closest friends, and I'm so happy to have him here. Say hi, Matty.
Hi.
This is Matty Sythandone, or Matthew Sythandone, but we're just going to go with Matty for now. That's how I know you. Matty is a multi-hyphenated artist and board member at Theatre Puget Sound. He's a graduate of the Cornish College of the Arts, holding that good BFA in theater with an emphasis in musical theater. He's a teaching artist with Dandylyon Drama and the Seattle Reps Public Works program. And through teaching, directing, performing, and burlesquing, he hopes to make the world a brighter and safer place. When he's not on the stage, just turning and burning and doing amazing. You can catch him running virtual puzzle rooms at Puzzle Break. Hey, puzzling family. I used to work at Lo Curio. We love it. How are you doing today, my love?
Living it, loving it. It is a Monday. It's a pretty great day.
Yeah. I'm so excited to have you today and just sit and chat with you and catch up and talk about theater.
Yes.
How has life been since this time last year, since the pandorama took over?
You know, I am grateful. I've been blessed. I have not had to live without, and I'm 100% thankful for that. Artistically, it's been a little roller coaster. Prior to the pandemic, I had a couple shows lined up that I thought would have launched my career in a direction that I needed. But those were put on hold. We never know when they will happen again. But through the pandemic, with Dandylyon Drama for the majority, and with a couple independent projects that I've managed to be a part of, I have been able to keep the creative outlet alive a little bit. And I'm super thankful for that. With teaching, I've done some virtual burlesque shows, which, like, if you haven't seen a virtual burlesque show, get on it. Burlesquers out there, if you want to try it, you can make a lot of money.
I bet even with virtual, it's like super fun because don't the Venmos be popping?
Mm-hmm. No joke. My last virtual show, I almost made 3 times what I was promised, like for a stipend. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. It. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Love it.
Also, you kind of get to test in like the virtual burlesque. You can test your naughtiness a little bit.
The
like,
boundaries,
you're in your own home.
Yeah.
You can test them. I've seen some crazy burlesque. If you haven't checked out burlesque karaoke, try it.
I love them.
They do some crazy-ish.
They're always so fun. Like I miss when it was like was it at Queer Bar? Is that where it was?
Yeah.
I miss all the like Instagram videos of people like going there and like seeing that.
Right.
And I was like, I was gonna go right before the corona started. I was like, I'll go to burlesque karaoke. I'm getting my mojo back. I was like gonna go out and do things in the world again. I was very hermited before COVID, and so I was like just coming back out of my little shell I'd created. And then the world was like, nope, stay in your shell. It was like, do not talk to anyone.
That's so real.
Wow. So that's so exciting. And I was just talking about that with someone else. It's like when we do come back, will it be all new stuff, or will the shows that were going to happen still happen, or some mixture of the two? Or like, it's been so long now. It's like, what's the protocol? There is no protocol.
Us actors should revolt. What if we all just didn't show up at general calls?
Oh my God.
What if we all just were like, pause, protest?
I don't know that will happen, because everyone is so like, I want to be in person right now.
We're like, hello,
like, no, give me the job. No, give me the job.
Hello, where's that job?
Hello. So to you, what does the word canon mean?
Truly, canon is a thing that I've learned in like personal coaching that I've paid for, and through my first year at Cornish. Shortly put, I can describe it as a thing that was built a long time ago that we're supposed to honor and respect and like always think about, because that is what informed the theater we have today. But I think back then in like for like the musical theater canon specifically, in like the 1920s to the 1950s, like that was totally a different time era. Like that's a span of what, 20, 30, like 30-ish years. Why not 30 years after that? Why aren't we making another one? Why aren't we like every 30 years, that is a separate canon?
Right.
But this canon, like this is something that like I learned about like later in my theater interest, like hobby that slash then turned into like school and a career. Well, I wonder if like as we are trying to establish maybe a new canon, is there canons that can be adaptable to multiple audiences? You know, like what is classic things that youth should know about versus like what are classic stories that like teens should know about? And how might that inform how they walk through space and walk through life?
Yeah.
Because like I tell most people, like I'm a teaching artist first and I am an actor second. And I wonder how, if we can rearrange the structure of said canon, how can that better help our next generation? Because I teach youth theater because that is like the soft skills that people talk about that will help people be more kind to one another, understand how to walk in someone else's shoes. So yeah, I don't know, youth are our future and we have to like make sure they have the tools and not just learning about stories that like their grandpa and their mom learned about because that's just what was required.
Yeah, like in school, like why is our required reading A Tale of Two Cities? Like why is our required reading The Crucible? Like why are we learning things like that when we could build a new canon of things that will, like you said, promote kindness and empathy more than most things, because empathy is something I think so many people lack because we don't like, it's not something you're taught unless your parents are great, you know what I mean? Like, like truly. You have to be schooled to, because like as humans, like I don't want to say that our default is mean, but you know, we like, if we are hurt, we will hurt someone back. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like it's an impulse. The default. It's an impulse. Exactly. And some people, it's not, some people, there's this flight, like you said, and they will retreat and close off and not be able to be open. There's a balance. And I teach youth theater as well. We teach at the same Dandylyon Drama, but it's like,
we love you, Dandylyon.
We love you, Dandylyon. We'll be at our meetings soon. But like, the empathy is so important, and that's such a big thing in the theater. And there are studies talking about like that kids who had theater in elementary school like grow up to be like more creative, more empathetic, like more active students.
I 100% agree with that. I didn't have the best theater education when I was younger, but I did my first musical in like 5th grade. I had a drama teacher in middle school. That's exciting.
I didn't. I had a middle school. I didn't have elementary school, but I loved theater before I even did it. You know. In
my elementary school, I went to like at the time, like right before I graduated that time, it was like K through middle school. So I got to like see like the middle school, but it was still like me as an elementary student. I was able to be immersed in that.
Yeah.
The canon is something that I've felt like it is separate from me. This is just a thing that I was told to like be a professional. You have to like know your shit and like you have to have X amount of golden age musical theater to be a professional and be ready at all times to produce this version of what was a classic. And it's like, why was this show classic? It shouldn't have been, maybe.
Yeah, what shows scream like the canon to you?
Like Oklahoma. I'm thinking like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. We'll talk about that in just a moment because I hate that title. And like Oklahoma, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. There's I
always go to like Chicago or like things like that.
Like the musicals that reflect like vaudeville and like the eras that are a little less what's the word for now? Like we're free and open, but they were like
closeted.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When the world was in the closet and they weren't ready for what 2021 had to frickin' offer.
Oh my God. Yeah. I always think about the like vocab words of like, I think about these as vocab words and as concepts where it's like modern contemporary, classic. So
Mm-hmm.
those are kind of what you were talking about, like the in my brain, not in the reality. Those are kind of like the it's modern, it was done from at this time to this time. It's classic, it was done from this time to this time. But classic is like everything behind 1900 or something like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That always gets me, and I'm like, why would we right now call like Death of a Salesman a modern play or a contemporary play? Either of those words, those don't fit. So maybe when they
Mm-hmm.
started, that it was contemporary at the time. And aren't modern and contemporary like synonyms? I might be wrong.
Okay. I
But
mean,
aren't those
they
the
sure
same
sound like
thing?
it.
They like, don't come for me if you're an English teacher or something like
Please
that.
don't.
But aren't the in my brain, those are very similar things. And so
Mm-hmm.
our theater teachers were always just kind of like, this is modern. It is like White Christmas isn't modern. I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
that is not modern. Like, what? Like, modern right now is like the Ratatouille musical from TikTok, you know?
Yeah, within like the last 5-10 years.
Yeah, Hamilton, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, modern means like right happening recently.
Yeah, totally.
Something that we can relate to now. But
Totally.
I just get confused by those vocab words I learned as
Mm-hmm.
a student. Did people say that stuff to you?
A lot in my vocal training, because that's how we would have to organize like our song books. Like you would have 3 to 4 songs and one and per category. And my voice teacher was like, you need to have table of contents. You can easily refer to it. This is your brand. This is your book. It's the
I had a
musical
table of
singer's
contents too.
Bible.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
had a table
lot.
of contents on my audition book, and one of my
Mm-hmm.
classmates was like, "Oh my gosh, we're being extra today," basically. And then Rhonda, who was teaching, was like, "Actually, no, that's exactly what you should be doing." And then I was just like,
Sorry, I care about my brand,
I was
biz.
just like, I'm sorry. I was just like, like this was built into me, like putting a table of contents in front of like anything. And so
Mm-hmm.
like it was really funny that someone was like, oh, we're going with a full 9. And I was like, this just seems like the bare minimum to me.
I feel like I had those similar experiences a lot through Cornish. I'd be like the one people come to for problems. People would be like, oh, why is this happening? Oh, you're the associate producer? Okay, let's go talk to so-and-so. But I always thought I was just doing what the job was of a theater person.
Which is probably why we were so close and why we always
Yeah,
like hung out.
like it's weird,
Yeah,
this like hustle game that we get to play, but I
and
get
it
high
only gets
off of it all
weirder.
the time.
It
Like
only gets weirder too.
I miss having like full schedules and then like also scheduling like 3 auditions in a week or like a meeting for a thing.
Yeah.
Ugh, I miss it.
I miss being like walking into a rehearsal room and everyone's like, some people are already there, and then one person's like almost late and they're running. Like I just like
Mm-hmm.
miss like the minutia of being in the
Mm-hmm.
room and like assistant directing or like, all of that stuff. I just miss it so much. And it's I want it back. And so get your vaccines and wear your masks, everyone.
Please.
So in our disgusting and also sometimes good theater canon, we have dichotomies. What for you is your show that's got to go?
Okay. I have like categories of things that I'm like, they just gotta go. The show that I want to like call out right now is one that many people probably respect. I mentioned it earlier if you're paying attention, but this is a show based off of a movie called Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Our lovely queen Marilyn Monroe was in that, and the Broadway musical, I believe, came out in the 95 was the year, I believe. A long span in between movie and Broadway, but just the title in itself right now, like I listen to the music and I read that title and I'm like, you know what? Who cares what Gentleman prefers? What about that woman? What does our lovely Queen Marilyn prefer? But no, we get to highlight the gentleman's perspective. We get to highlight all the things that gentleman wants. And it's enough. Gentlemen got their time.
Boys, you got your time. Everyone was obsessed with you for pretty much entirely of all of history. So, we're especially talking to
Okay.
those cishet boys out there. Not that they are, horrendous for being such, but other people need some stage time, let's say.
Uh-huh. And like this musical specifically, like it was a story about this woman coming from Arkansas and like going to live her like performance arts dreams, but there was also little elements dropped in the storyline of, oh, this daddy helped me get my way and like helped me get all the things I needed. And there's a line that was like, oh, when I moved, I learned like the man you call daddy ain't your pa. And I'm like, okay, sis, like maybe that's your tea, but that ain't my tea today. Mm-mm.
I mean,
Mm-mm.
like what? And we do not shame people for like calling people daddy, but this is
True.
a questionable topic for your musical. Like, I've never seen the movie or the musical, but it does sound a little bit dated to me.
I mean, people even now are making movie musicals. Like, why did we have to make a movie musical from like the 50s and like the 90s? Like, what elements of that story like did you need to highlight for the 90s and for the people that are watching it? Probably nothing, or maybe reminding that like women are less than without a man. And
yeah, I wonder who produced that. I wonder who had the motives. What was their plan?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I need better stories. I want more queer stories on stage.
Yeah.
Like, I've literally walked out of musicals sometimes because I'm like, well, this is like the same story I've seen in every single movie. I'm gonna leave.
I've gotta go. I can't waste my time on this.
Love each and every one of your passions and like your job that you did. Like, you did your job, but like this story, I gotta go.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too. It's like, how do you, like, we as artists, like we were saying earlier, we like want those gigs, we want those jobs. And how do
the
we
high-paying jobs, the ones that we don't have to like balance another life on the side for.
And more often than not, those shows are the Canon shows that they can expect money from.
That those donors that got a lot of money can just be like, here's $1 trillion check to do the rest of your season. Go for it. And speaking of that, I know there is a big theater in town that sometimes does a lot of the like Canon shows, and maybe in their past they have done some less than cool shows, but I learned recently that they have a special ensemble that is putting like season selection into like the hands of the artists and asking them to be a part of the conversation. There's two groups of artists of like BIPOC beauty and like queer beauty that are like making choices along with the typical people that are in charge of that all the time. And I'm like, yes.
This is what we need.
Thank you for trying. Like, Intimon brings on artists to their board. Like, I'll call this theater out that I just talked about. Act Theater does their core company program, and like that's really cool. And TPS, I'm a board member there. They actually wanted me to be on the board because I am more related to like queer BIPOC communities of my age group. Everyone else on the board is like older than I am and has like full-time job, life, and other things, but sometimes you need a different perspective.
Yeah, I hope they keep that ball rolling and get even more people in our sort of like age group who are super conscious of things like this and want to build and want to play and want to do stuff. Yeah. I'm glad you're there.
Yeah, we have a cool thing called the MAC. It's the Membership Advisory Committee, and that's like consistent of like more people that are like early career, like 20s artists to like 30s, 50s. Like it starts at the lower end of the age spectrum, which is really cool. Our mutual friend Mario is actually on that committee, which is really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
I saw their application and I was like, boop, star. You pick this person.
Yes,
thank you,
Mario.
love you.
They're awesome. Just pick them. It's great.
Yes, they are. Go search Lola Mraz on the Instagram. You'll love them.
Yes, fully agree. So in the spirit of wanting to create that change and like build something new, like what's your show that you want to bring into the canon that everyone should know that we should all be doing at our theaters?
I'm trying to bring Straight White Men by Young Jean Lee into the canon. This is a show that gives you a little insight into like the title, straight white men. That's a certain class, that's a certain group of people that like everyone might expect has gone through really, like, white people just typically get, I don't even know how to explain it. White privilege, that's the best way. It's about white privilege, being a straight cis man, and understanding and owning said privilege. And this play was written by a woman, and she was actually the first Asian woman to get a play to be produced on Broadway. Went from off-Broadway to Broadway. And the biggest thing that I loved about this play, the Washington Ensemble Theater produced it a couple years ago. Sarah Porkalob, the almighty queen, produced that with some really cool Seattle artists. And the start of the play, the dad makes a like white privilege Monopoly board. Like it's a DIY like custom like game to try to teach his kids not to be assholes and like understand this privilege. Which is really, really cool. And what I really enjoyed about that production is they start you in the experience from the moment you walk into the room. Like the intro, like house music is like set to be a specific type of music that like gets you into like a certain mentality, and then they have kind of like leading player characters that will pause the story, make the audience like think back, like what just happened, how did that affect this other person, and then they would manipulate the story to either push it or like highlight a certain part of white privilege. And I really liked it because the people that are supposed to be these like leading player types are not of the cis straight white men world. These are like non-binary, queer, like in the rights for the show they want that contrast. So like, yes, you're watching a show with like the lens, like you're focusing on like white, what is the word? I just said it. It's based on the word.
Like white experience, like the white lens.
Yeah,
you're like,
you're looking at their perspective and like things that they might go through, but you also have these queer characters like forcing a narration on you. It was like I saw this show like 3 years ago, so the big points are kind of away from me, but this was like a show that like I walked into and I was like, what the hell, straight white men, and I'm like, okay, well, Sarah Porkalob's name's on this, so I think this is gonna say something,
right?
And of course I left the theater like, damn, what is my like cis man experience? I'm like, I walk through the world differently than like maybe someone else that's like of the queer umbrella, but not my queer umbrella, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I just imagined all of us with queer umbrellas.
Let's get them. Honestly, I have a little RuPaul umbrella that says shade. I just need to like write like queer umbrella on it. It'd be great.
That's so funny. That's good. Yeah, that also makes me think of like the title. I think I remember when Sarah did this, and I didn't go see it, but I didn't frequent the theater because I had a night job at the time.
Yeah.
But the title, it invokes a certain feeling, and it makes you like, I feel like it might have a totally different effect on white men, like the title, because it kind of makes us go, huh, am I interested? You know, because like all of our lives we've gotten that perspective, that lens of like stories told by white men, even our history books growing up, you know. But like okay, but I know it's a lot, but like knowing, like you said, that Sarah Porkalob had her name on it, like that was a level of trust that you had that I would have had if I had looked into it, you know. Like that makes you go, oh wait, this is probably gonna flip some switches, like this I can actually probably trust because the trust would not be there if I was walking into a show that was just straight white men. And then knowing that the playwright is a woman and an Asian woman, you said, like that switches everything. That makes you go, oh wait, here just a moment. This seems like something that I could get into. But it probably also makes like white straight men be like, maybe I should go see this. Like I wonder.
Yeah, they might be into it. Calling all straight white men.
I wonder if because like I almost never look at the playwright of a show, like I wonder if they'll be like, oh, I can relate to this.
Then they leave. They're like, oh, damn.
Like, oh, I should have. Yeah. I wonder how many people it's made mad too. Like I've talked to a lot of young playwrights about stuff like that where people get angry who are like being talked about. Like when I had Lexi and Maya on in season 1, do you remember seeing raisins in a glass of milk?
Yes, I saw 2 different iterations of it.
So our freshman one, the audience will have maybe heard this. The one we saw when we were first years in 102. They had teachers tell them that they should add a white character. Maybe not teachers, but like people. Exactly. That's what I said. Maddie's making a face for anyone who's listening.
Raisins in a glass of milk.
They told them that they were missing a perspective. And I was like, are you missing the point?
Like, everyone done had the milk already. It's about the raisins, okay?
Did you not see the title, Queen? It's
Rude.
Also just like, yeah, rude, number 1.
Let's get some chocolate milk in there, okay?
Yeah, baby.
That
seriously,
white milk.
Like people said that to them multiple times, multiple people. And I felt so bad because I love the show, obviously. And I love Lexi and Maya more than most humans in the world. But like, they missed the point, whoever said that to them. And it's not about that perspective. It's supposed to make the people who said that as uncomfortable as they felt. You know what I mean? Like they felt uncomfortable to say they needed a white person to relate to. And I was like, you missed the whole point of the show.
And that's why art's subjective. You can take that person's opinion and be like, thank you, professional teacher of mine. I'm going to be the professional I am and continue on. Just like Rhonda said, like we all learn from different people have different experiences and we'll share them. But like it's our job to like put that tool in our pocket if we feel like it.
Yeah. The toolbox. Right. So Straight White Men sounds like a really good show to bring into the canon.
It provokes a conversation, maybe an uncomfortable one, but sometimes you need them.
So did things like Hamilton. Like people don't want to say they were uncomfortable. They want to say they loved it and they did this thing. But someone a few episodes ago talked about the Hamilton casting structure, like casting rules where it's like, we're only looking for people of color right now for all of these roles. Sorry, white people. White people are like,
yep.
Like,
I remember that.
Relax, y'all. Like, what the heck, people? Come on. So on those sort of lines, do you have any shows or activities right now that you want to promote that are maybe happening in the theater community?
Right now I am stage managing a virtual production called Honoring Choices. It is a show that has to deal with the point that you get into your life and you might not be able to make your own decisions, and you have to have that collaboration with your family to have a care plan for if you become unable. And I'm working with Grief Dialogues and Honoring Choices Pacific Northwest. It's a nonprofit, and I'm really excited to do their play. We start. I'll have to send you the link because there's a couple different casts, and we have not started rehearsals. I also, what else am I doing? I am doing virtual programming for Theatre Puget Sound this Friday. All the Fridays, I have been interviewing artists from the Puget Sound region on Theatre Puget Sound's Instagram. So if you want to come hang out, maybe you're an artist watching or listening, however you're consuming this, maybe you want to be spotlit, like do whatever you want. What else?
It can be just any show that you know of either, too.
Ooh, shows that I know of. This is for all my POC burlesque bad queens out there, queens, kings, ladies, gentle thems, all the folks. There is a show in the Pacific Northwest called What the Funk.
What the Funk Festival, yes.
What the Funk Festival is a show that is produced by Mix Puxaplenty and Rebecca Davis, also a very well-known Seattle actor and host for many local Seattle theaters. They are partnering to build America, this region's first POC funk burlesque festival. I was lucky enough to be a kitten, a stagehand for their first production in 2019. And right now we are fundraising for the 2021 production, pending the COVID policies and plans. There is going to be a hybrid virtual model. So if you want to check it out, What the Funk Fest, the application, I believe, is still open. So get it while it's hot and check it out. That's like the biggest one, because POC burlesque needs to like take over the world, my friend. And if you don't know anything in the Seattle burlesque scene, look it up. We got Mixed Pucks Aplenty, Bo Briefs. There's all sorts of people.
Get into it, y'all. Yeah, totally. Michaela Gonzalez was on the other day and was talking about What the Funk Festival as well. And I was like, yes.
Yes. Oh, speaking of them, don't forget the Devil's Advocates.
True.
Those queens, kings, ladies, datems, all the peoples are beautiful. I love them. I've also kittened for them, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is super, super fun. And my last sneaky question before we say goodbye today, I didn't give anyone prep on this. Who would you like to see on this podcast?
Who would I like to see on this podcast? My queen of all queens is Sarah Porkalab. This queen was about to be on Broadway in a musical about the Constitution and the Founding Fathers. This is going to be like not an all-white cast, but an all non-binary woman-directed cast, okay? Sarah Porkalab should be on this show. I
would love to have Sarah on the show. I'm going to continue to reach out as I have in the past. Just to like keep being like, hello, would you like to come hang out with us?
Hello.
She's a huge inspiration. I loved Dragon Lady and all of the subsequents, and just following her career in Seattle and beyond has been amazing, and I love everything about it. So huge inspiration to me, and we want her on the pod so badly. So we will reach out to Sarah again and again until we convince her to be on the podcast. She'd be fantastic too. She's so smart. Like she like subbed for my playwriting class. It was just so fun to have this new person come in and talk about their like process and what they think. It's so cool. So yes, Sarah Porkalab calling out. This is a calling out and a manifestation of Sarah into our experience. Matty, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thanks, Boo.
Yeah, I've loved chatting with you. You're amazing. I will put all the links to everything down in that description below for anyone listening. And you guys, thank you so much for listening to the next Canon podcast. Can't wait to see you again next week, and goodbye.
Bye.